All right, I think we are. It's good to see you guys today.
See you too, man.
I'm
We are.
excited about this opportunity to chat with you guys. Um, Pastor Ken, I have had the opportunity to meet you in person, face to face, a couple times, and I have just now. Being this will be like the third time I've had a chance to talk to you, just to say how encouraging it is just to have met you and to know you. And I see where Jason gets it from his mom.
You are exactly right, Alan. Thank you for that. I'm glad you were astute enough and smart enough to. I appreciate it.
It is
And
awesome.
It's a pleasure getting to know you as well. Pleasure
It's
meeting you.
fantastic. So I think we're live. I want to check and see if we're showing up on our Facebook page yet. And
We are
share
live.
that out a little bit. I'm excited to be able to talk to our church family and our church community about Free City Church, and I'm really excited to kind of hear how things are going and what's going on and where you guys are at and progress you guys are making. So I'm really excited about today. So if you're joining us on the chat, on the stream, I'll give you a little bit of information to kind of help you know what's going on. I'm monitoring the Facebook over here on this side of my, so if you see me look away, I'm not ignoring everybody. I'm looking at the screen, right? So we're going to have a chat with Jason and Pastor Ken here over just the next few minutes about Free City Church and this church plant that God has called them to do, and as God has led Jason and Rhonda to kind of go on this great adventure. And we are excited to be able to come alongside and partner with them in this. And so we're going to just talk to them for a few minutes about how things are going and where they're at and just this whole process. This church planting is not like a snap your finger and now you have a church. It's a long burn. And so we're just going to talk to them about that. And then while we're doing that, if you have questions that you'd like to ask Pastor Jason or Pastor Ken, you can leave those, post those on Facebook. I'll be monitoring those. I'll be looking at those. And then we get near the end of our conversation today, or I see some that kind of fits, I'll interject those, and we'll just kind of have a good conversation today. So, Jason, it's good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too, man. And by the way, for anyone watching, I'm kind of doing the same thing on my end of monitoring. I've started a watch party. I've shared the stream to Free City Church's Facebook page and all that. So we're watching together, so to speak. But yeah, if you have questions, please ask questions. Really want to answer them. For anyone that's watching that doesn't know, my name is Jason Rogers. I am the church planter, and so I will be the lead pastor. I'm currently lead church planter for Free City Church. We're planning to plant a life-giving, life-changing church in the Colony, Texas. Right now, where I'm sitting, I'm in Columbus, Georgia. And so this is where I've been here for the past several years as the executive pastor at Calvary Baptist Church. And I'll soon be departing, setting sail down to the Colony, North Dallas area, to plant a church. And so we're super excited. My family's excited. My son, Josiah, is very excited. He loves Texas. And so he is ready. He wants us to start getting boxes like right now. And so he loves Texas. He loves his family there, and we have a lot of family there in Texas. So we're excited to be doing that.
So Jason, so those who may be in our church or in our community that may not know Pastor Ken, would you just kind of introduce this third person who happens to be on the screen with us, and kind of share a little bit about who he is and why he even cares to be with us today?
Yeah. So Pastor Ken, who's on the call, he is the executive pastor for Free City Church that we are planting together. But more importantly, it is from him and this wonderful, wonderful woman named Paula, who gave birth to me. And so this is my father. This is where I've learned everything that I have possibly learned about ministry, about being a good husband, a good father, a good son. And so he has taught me more than any book, any class, any seminar that I could have ever paid money for. And so I'm so grateful to my dad. A lot of people, a lot of people think that they have, a good father, and they're like, my dad's the best dad. But they're all liars because my father, my father is the best dad, and it's been great. And I'm so glad that he's hopping on this journey with me. And so I couldn't have planned it better myself. My dad did, just so you know, my dad has done two things my entire life. He's always been an HR guy, and he's always been a pastor. Somehow or another, I ended up doing those same things. But I used to work for him as his executive pastor. When we were in Texas, and so it's just a crazy full circle thing that's happening because now he's going to be my executive pastor. So I mean, who would have ever thought?
Here's my observation in this 45, whatever how long we've been on so far. Your dad's smile has gotten bigger and bigger by the moment, and Pastor Ken, I don't know if I'm reading your face correctly, but my read is that you're a pretty proud daddy.
Well, that's true. I actually thought Jason was going to talk about where he got his good looks from, and that was obviously his mother. That's a fact. But I am very proud. I believe that Jason God has been preparing Jason for this moment for a long time, and he's been born and bred and raised for moments like this, and I think this is his time and his season. And God has, God raises up for such a time as these, and so yes, I am proud of Jason. He's everything you've heard about Jason and what he does and what he's doing now. He's the real deal, and so that's not really my doing. We just raised Jason the way that we believe that God wanted him to raise me and his mother. His mother probably did most of the work. I just did my little part. So I am very extremely proud of Jason and Rhonda and Josiah. And I know it's going to be amazing because they always follow the Lord. And you can't go wrong that way.
Amen, brother.
So thanks for that, Al.
Well, let me ask you guys a couple questions about the church, the plant, the process, where you're at. So let me start with this first question. Jason, there are a myriad of ways that one could pastor a church. You could take a church, you could do it. Why do you feel called to take on this task of planting a church?
I hear you, and there are many ways, to become a pastor of a church, and I'll tell you, I do know that planting a church is by far the hardest way to actually become a pastor, and I just have to say, a lot of people have asked me, why are you planting a church? Why? Why? Just what made you want to plant a church? And I tell people all the time, that they really have to understand what it means for God to call you to do something. Because I can tell you right now, I had no desire to plant a church, like not at all. I remember even conversations with my father, probably just over the past year of, hey, have you thought about planting a church? Nope, not doing that. There is no, why would I do that? There are so many easier ways to become a pastor of a church. It's the hardest thing to possibly do. And then, as we're still talking and and I'm trying to figure out this path that God has called me, because I knew God was calling me to be a lead pastor years ago. I just was firm in my belief that I was going to take over an existing church. And, there's plenty of churches out there without pastors and they need pastors. And so why plant another church? But I have to tell you, when God says, period, when God says, this is what you're going to do, this is what I've called you to do, I have to be honest, I argued with God. I was like, God, this makes no sense. Like, why would you do that? like, I'm not doing that. Like, it doesn't make any sense. There's no reason to do that. And God was like, this is what I told you to do. I was like, well, I hear you, Lord, but I tried everything. And God, simply reminded me of all the times in my life where I have been obedient to him and have done what he's asked of me, what he has requested of me. And every single one of those times, God has blessed me and my family beyond measure. He has just done such great things in our lives, and we've been able to live such a blessed life, a life filled with favor. And God was like, what are you like? Why are you all of a sudden afraid to do something? I've moved you from Seattle to Miami, across country. I've taken you, all these states in between, all across the country. And now I'm telling you to plant a church, and all of a sudden you're acting like you are afraid to do so. And I was like, okay. I don't know. I was freaking out and didn't want to do this thing. I know it's hard, but God is a way maker. That's what he does. It's what he specializes in. And so once I got over myself, then I said, man, I am really excited to plant a church. Like, this is going to be amazing. And so that's it. It was kind of my own journey, and really just getting over myself and God reminding me of the faith that he's built in me, through his own works. And so, yeah, that's it. God called me.
And I would say also, Pastor Jay, that planting a church is an opportunity to what God is saying, that he wants us to grow the kingdom. So really, we plant, but the plant is really how he grows the kingdom. And he will continue to grow even in seasons like these. People probably wonder why during this season, it's a pandemic, things are tough out there right now. Things are maybe not be going the way people expect. But God sometimes will move in an unexpected way, in an unexpected season. And that's how you know it's him. Yeah. So I thank God that he's using you and you listen to him so that he might grow his kingdom.
Amen.
So you listen to the call. So you're working through this process of planting a church, and you're calling the church Free City Church.
Yep.
Unpack that a little bit. Why? Like, where did you get this name? Why Free City Church? Because you're not going to be in Free City. Like, that's not a city, right? You're going to be in the colony.
That's right.
So why Free City Church? Where'd you come up with this name? Why is that name important to you for the name of the church?
Yeah. So from the very beginning, God has always been clear about his calling on my life, which was to bring, the message of freedom that is Jesus Christ, the only one that can set you free, our eternal hope of Jesus. And so, I knew that I wanted to be a part of a church that helps set people free. And so when I was thinking about, naming the church, this kept coming to mind. And then, I knew that I wanted to be I wanted our church to be an intentionally locally focused church. And so, there's a lot of churches out there, and a lot of churches do a lot of things. But I really wanted to make sure that where our church is, that we grab hold, we plant a foothold in the community, and we are there for the people of that community to bring that freedom, that message of Jesus. And so when thinking about this, God kept bringing me back to the scripture of John 8:36. And the Bible says in John 8:36 that he whom the Son sets free is free indeed. And God just kept reminding me that and kept reminding me that. And so I was just like, yeah, that makes sense. So we're gonna the name of our church is gonna be Free City Church. We're gonna be free because he whom the Son sets free is free indeed, and we need to bring that freedom message. And the word city is in the name is just simply because we're gonna be where the people are. We're gonna be where people need us. And so, and we're a church. We're going to function and act like the church, act like the bride of Christ. We're going to serve our community. We're going to love people. We're going to be non-judgmental, and we're going to bring that hope, bring that freedom message that only comes through the name of Jesus. And so, Free City Church.
That's good. I like that. Free City Church. That's fantastic. Now, what city, because we've mentioned it before, the Colony, Texas, and I think I have had many times since we've had conversations. Is it Colony or is it the Colony?
Yeah. So
I have learned that it is the Colony,
yeah.
Texas. The is important. It's So tell us a little about the Colony, Texas. Why? How did God draw you to that little spot on the earth to plant this church?
Yeah. So it was really interesting when we left Seattle. We left Seattle. For those of you who don't know, I was an executive pastor resident, and I was also the human resources director for Mars Hill Church. And I am one of the people that helped to close down Mars Hill Church. And so, as the HR director, I transitioned hundreds of staff members, out of Mars Hill and on to their next part of their journey. And so when we left there, we just kind of wanted to take a break from ministry, just a small break. And so we said, okay, let's take 6 months, kind of take a sabbatical and just figure out, what we want to do. And so we said, well, where do we go? And so somehow, I remember looking, kind of looking for apartments and things like that. And I asked her, I was like, have you ever heard of the Colony? And she was like, where is that? I was like, it's right there in North Dallas, right next to Frisco. She was like, really? I was like, yeah. I was like, there's a city called the Colony. And so I said, but it's right, it's right in the middle of Louisville, and Grapevine is right over there, and Frisco is on the other side, Prosper, Little Elm is right up north, and you have Allen and McKinney and Plano, all around, Hebron right below. And the Colony is right in the middle. And so we said, well, let's move to the Colony. And that way, we can be around family and kind of hang out. So we moved to the Colony to take this break. And it was just one of the best experiences that we've ever had. We instantly fell in love with the area. We fell in love with the people. I don't know what it is about the Colony, but from the moment that we moved in, we felt drawn there. And then, we enrolled Josiah in the school, and he had the best educational experience that we had experienced in years. And for those of you who don't know, our son Josiah, he's 16 now. Pray for us.
Oh, brother.
Boy's getting old. But our son is autistic. And so because he's autistic, we're always very careful about, what school he's at, the learning environment. We want to make sure that they have systems and educational opportunities in place that are best for him. And for some reason, it was just amazing. It was just an amazing experience for Josiah. It was an amazing experience for us. We loved the area. We loved the schools. And it was just really good. And we knew that we weren't going to be there. We knew it wasn't permanent. And so about 6 months later, we ended up moving to Florida, and so we were down by Miami, in Miramar. But ever since we left, and for years now, we have talked about, if there's, if we moved and there's any place where we said we were going to settle down, and if there's any place that we're going to go to where we want to live there, and stay there, because we've moved for years. We've been in Texas, we've been in New Mexico, we've been in Washington, we've been in Georgia, we've been in Florida. So we've been, in all these different states and all these different cities. But the colony was the one that we said that's where we want to go back to. That's where we just feel drawn to.
Awesome.
And
What
so,
is the kind of, what is it that makes other than that personal draw, what is it that kind of makes the Colony, Texas such a great church planting location?
yeah, so in the
How are you
colony,
there in that capacity too?
yeah, so in the past 5 years in the colony, something like 100,000 people have moved into the area. Toyota moved their headquarters from wherever they were right next to in the colony. Warren Buffett's company invested $1.5 billion to build this huge shopping and entertainment center right there in the colony. And so people began just flooding the area. And I remember talking to a good friend of mine, Dave Bruskus, who's he's campus pastor at the Village Church right there in Dallas. And I was talking to him, just asking for advice. I said, hey, we're thinking about coming to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. If we were going to plant a church, what would you recommend? And he said, anywhere in the Dallas-Fort Worth area? I said, yeah, anywhere in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Where would you recommend we plant a church? He said, well, I'll tell you right now, the Colony, Frisco area, they need 100 churches yesterday.
Oh, wow.
They have way more people than they do churches. Churches cannot keep up with the pace at which the city has grown.
And let me add to that a little bit, Pastor Jay. The colony is one of the most dynamic and fastest growing areas in the DFW area. It's the area around that where Jerry Jones put the new Dallas Cowboys facility. 20, 30 years ago, it was more, maybe farmland and it was things like that. But it's another 20 years from now, it might be the center of the DFW area. It is growing leaps and bounds, and literally hundreds of people are moving into that general county area per day. So I think God saw the need and to really bless people and want people to follow him. And so he's sending you where the people are.
Yeah.
And so it's great work
Awesome.
that needs to be done there. And I believe that's why God is sending Pastor Jay there.
So Jason, how can people at Calvary, they're here in Columbus, they're not in the Colony, Texas. How can people support Free City Church? And what kind of support are you looking for? Like, what are some things that people can do now? What are some things that maybe people can do in the future? Like, how can we come along and support you and Pastor Ken and Free City Church to kind of help you as you're moving through this process to plant this church and take the gospel to the colony?
Yeah. I'm going to let Pastor Ken, kind of lead the way on this question. We've talked a lot about this.
Sure. I mean, having been a senior pastor for several years, I know that the most important thing is for people to pray for Free City Church, pray for Pastor Jay and his family, because as you know, the enemy gets busy. And also, however, when God gives you a vision like he has for Pastor Jay, not only the area, but the name of the church, all of those kind of things. When he gives us a vision, he gives us provision. And God has given us a provision, and it's oftentimes for people to make a decision. And the ways that people can help, we need, of course, the church need to be funded. And oftentimes that comes through people who love God and can attach themselves to the vision that God has given Pastor Jay and of what he's want to do with Free City Church. So they can give through our friends at Calvary, they can give through Calvary, they can go on their website, and there is a link there, and they can give to Free City Churches, a Free City Church, or they can go on to freecitychurches.com, and it's churches.com, and they could give that way as well. And so there are lots of ways to give. If they, confused about it or want to know, you can always call Calvary Church, and they can tell people another way to give if they want to send in checks, things like that. But those are the best ways to give. Either give through the Calvary website, or give where Jason's currently, or give through freecitychurches.com, and you can go on the link there, and we'd love to have your support. Like anything, when God is doing something great, He's calling on people with a heart for ministry to oftentimes go deep and see what, and you'll be surprised what God would do for you. I've never sowed into a ministry and not been blessed. And you don't have to be a member of Free City Churches or a member of Calvary to give towards this effort. Even today, I give towards a lot of ministries that I want to support in different areas of the country, and I sow a seed there, and I get blessed because of that. So I pray that as you're listening today, or as you're watching us, that you'll sow a seed into the life of Pastor Jay, but more importantly, so that souls might be saved, where people will learn to follow Jesus, and lives may be transformed. And so please support us in whatever ways you can.
So I want to highlight, just so that the people that are watching on the stream, so that you understand and know, there in the description of this video, there's a link that takes you to the Calvary Baptist Church website that's got some information about Pastor Jason and the launch of Free City Church, and there's a way that you can give there. But I also posted a link in the comments to freecitychurches.com. So if you want to go check out Free City Church's website, he's got a place on there as well that you can give. It is, I think it's a great opportunity for us as a church, us as a community, us as people that know and love Jason and Rhonda and what God is doing in their family, to just sort of be able to come alongside and partner with him, not only in prayer, which I think is, that's like minimum essential. We all need to be praying for Jason and praying a hedge about him as God protects and guides and leads him, but also if we can come alongside and support him financially so that he can do this and this church can get started and planted. If there are hundreds and hundreds of people daily coming into this community where churches are needed, an opportunity to take the gospel to this community is important. So there are at least two ways that you can link directly in the comments here. So please.
And I would also want to add that I'm not a social media guru, but a lot of people who are watching, they are. Take advantage of all your social media platforms and get the word out about this church and what God is doing. Share it with your friends. Share it with your co-workers. Tell people at your church what God is doing, the new thing that He's doing in Texas and the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So use all those platforms as much as possible to get the word out. We could use your prayers, but we can also use your financial support.
They can follow you on Facebook. They can follow you on Instagram, correct? Are you on any of the other? I know you have YouTube as well. I know you've done some.
Yeah, I've done a couple YouTube stuff. We're gonna try to do more of that, but yeah, Free City Church.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
Twitter. We're on Twitter as well, so you can.
Okay, Twitter as well.
Yeah.
That's great. Awesome.
Also, I just want to mention because I did have a person ask me. They said, your website is Free City Churches, not Free City Church. Why is that? And so I just wanted to mention this briefly, but that actually speaks towards the vision of Free City Church. And so the plan, the idea, the vision for Free City Church is that Free City Church would be a church planting church and a multi-campus church. And so, just by faith, just went ahead and got freecitychurches.com because we really want to build a community of churches because we plan to be so locally focused. We realize that, this church and this community maybe even in this neighborhood, is not going to be able to serve the neighborhood and the community next door as well. And so when we realize that people are being drawn from those areas, and they have to be inconvenienced by driving so far to come to our church, we don't want that to happen. We want those people in that community to have the convenience and have the opportunity, and for us to have the opportunity to serve that community directly. And so in the future, you will see Free City churches prayerfully in a lot of different places.
That's awesome. I think that's a great, I mean, that speaks to the vision, and to kind of see that it's not just about a single building, a single location, but it's really like you feel called to the entire community.
That's right.
Of the colony, not just to a neighborhood in the colony. And so even from the onset, the planting structures in place to kind of see that vision carried through. So I mean, that's super, super exciting. Jason, why don't you tell us kind of what's going on now? Kind of like where are you at in the process? Where are you at in this sort of process of getting the church planted? What are you kind of hoping to kind of be able to launch a service in the colony, Texas? How are people able to connect with you and do studies, and what like kind of shape for us a little bit what's going on now, and then kind of what your plan is and sort of short-term and long-term future?
Yeah. So right now is about vision casting. And so we're doing vision casting and fundraising. In order to get to the place where we're meeting on a regular basis in some type of facility, that's going to take funds. But at the same time, we're not pushing super hard to purchase some kind of building or even to have a permanent facility anywhere. We want to grow organically. And so after we move, again, we're in the fundraising stage. So we're currently in Columbus. We're going to be moving to the colony prayerfully before the end of the year. Hopefully, prayerfully in November would be great for us. And so, that's why our fundraising is a big deal for us. And so we want to get down there, get involved in the community. And I can tell you right now, the very first thing that anyone involved with Free City Church is going to be doing is actually community service. And so we're not going to necessarily start with meeting and any kind of facility and all that. We're going to actually get out there and start serving our community. People need help. These are tough times, and we want to be the hands and feet of Jesus. And so during that same time of doing community service, is when we'll start meeting in small groups. We'll start meeting at a Starbucks here, at a Panera Bread there, at a Chick-fil-A, my favorite, here and there.
Lord's Chicken.
The Lord's Chicken. And so, we'll start hanging out in those places with a few of us and just see where it goes from there, see where it grows, and hopefully we'll have to multiply groups. And so having several different groups. And preferably once we reach about 50 people, and those 50 people say, hey, like, we're a church. We need to, let's start doing some more churchy things, then we'll start actually hosting services, but our foundational kind of avenue is not to host services, but to bring Jesus to people. And so we want to be in the community, bringing the message of hope, the message of freedom to people. And then, of course, once new believers are ready to take that next step, is when we believe we'll be ready to actually have services. And so we'll be starting, with community efforts and, just serving perfectly in January, and go from there. And hopefully, by April, something like that, we're going to be super optimistic, hopefully.
I hear an Easter service Sunday launch. That's what I'm hearing.
Hey, you never know, right?
Hey.
So there's no telling. We're just going to trust God, and let God be fully in control. And so that's it. We're not trying to, um, we're not trying to fit in. We want to be disruptors, and get out there and serve. And so,
Well, it speaks, as we've talked about Free City Church, together. The thing that I have learned and I know is the intentional desire to be hyper focused in a community and to be engaged at the community level. I want to know people and connect with them and serve them. And
that's
in the
right.
process of doing so, we build a church in that process. And so I'm super encouraged and excited for you. I got one more question for you, but before I ask the question, I want to speak to the people watching. Look, if you have a question for Pastor Jason or Pastor Ken, go ahead and put it in the comments. All right, go ahead and ask your question. I'm going to ask my last question to Jason and Pastor Ken, and then if you have a comment or a question in below, I'll then ask that question for them as well. So here's your chance. So don't miss your opportunity to ask your question. All right. So Jason, here's my last question for both of you and Pastor Ken. What makes Free City Church unique? Like, what is its? Why is it different? What is the thing that you're kind of doing that's going to make a difference in the Colony, Texas? What's unique about Free City Church?
Yeah, so a moment ago you heard me talk about, our focus on service, our focus on community service. I know that, um, as a church, my intention and my plan of what we are trying to do, I believe is unique in itself because, um, as people that have the intention of serving the community, of serving the people in that community, bringing the message of hope to that community, the message of Jesus Christ. Um, the people that become a part of Free City Church, um, no one that's a part of Free City Church will be allowed, to simply join a place where they feel comfortable and happy and they get to sit down, and just receive a good message. That's not what Free City Church is. People will come to Free City Church and they will receive, that message of hope, that message of Jesus Christ. But every single person, it is our intention that every single person that comes in will be sent right back out into the community to do the exact same thing that we initially came for. And so every person is a servant. Every person, needs to be participating in community efforts. Every person needs to come with us, to knock on people's doors and talk to them about Jesus and want to pray for people. And so, a lot of people, when they think about church, oftentimes what the church is supposed to be sometimes gets lost in translation. And so make no mistake about it. Free City Church exists to make disciples. And so we make disciples, we develop leaders, and we go out and we tell people about Jesus. And so, I think that is the biggest thing, that not only just makes Free City Church unique, but will make Free City Church unique. And the reason I say will is because I think a lot of times, churches start out in a similar fashion, hey, we're going to reach our community. But then they reach a portion or a segment of the community, and the focus kind of changes. And so I just want to make sure that at Free City Church, everyone knows right now that our number one focus will always be to introduce people to Jesus and make disciples. That's top shelf, top of the list. That's not changing.
Let me add to that a bit. Also, what makes, I think, Free City Church unique is its leader. Because, and I know we said this about Pastor Jay already, but what people may not know is that Pastor Jay didn't just wake up and say, after he started preaching, I want to start a church, and then I know how to preach well or teach well, and I love Jesus, and now I want to start something and let God figure it out. God has prepared Pastor Jay, I believe, for years for for this. He has a plethora of gifts and experience. Clearly understand all the back office work of a church. I've been almost in every role. For years, he held up my arms as I went before the people. And now God has called me to sort of hold up his arms and do the same thing. So he's a humble and passionate and powerful pastor, and with a lot of experience. Although he's young, as you can obviously see, his experience goes well beyond his age. And I think every now and then when people look at all the things Jason have done, his resume, they'll think he's a guy about my age, but he's clearly not. He's less than half my age as my son. But I thank God that he has all of this wonderful experience, and God would use it in ways that people haven't seen. He's not going to go into this role as a novice. And every ministry area that you can think of, Pastor Jason have been in. He was my executive pastor. He used to be my youth pastor. He handled my media. He took care of the Sunday school. He took care of the youth. He used to do our own TV programs. He did all the things involved there, handled retreats, conferences, the whole gamut, the Bible studies, all of those kind of things. And so I think that's what makes it a little bit unique. It's not a person that's going to start a storefront and then you kind of watch them grow and you stumble through their growth period. This thing, we're going to do it right, it's going to take off like a rocket. And I pray that people decide they want to be a part of it and join this ministry. You can follow us and move to the colony with us and watch and see what God does. He takes uniquely gifted, humble people like Pastor Jay and Rhonda and grow them tremendously. And he's done it so far, and I can't wait to see what the next level of growth is going to be.
I'm excited. I Pastor Ken, knowing Jason for the little bit of time that I've had a chance to know him, I would agree with you completely. The experience and the things that God has placed him in all these different places has prepared him and equipped him and resourced him in a unique way to be able to do what God's called him to do.
He lived all over the United States. I mean, think about it.
So the experience there, I don't think God moves by accident. I think that is a plan and providence. And so I agree. I totally agree with it. That God, what you had said about him, and not only as you as his father, but me as a colleague and an associate and a friend, I would affirm that as well. And then I would like to just also parenthetically say, earlier, when Jason was talking, it was awesome to see the joy on Pastor Ken's face as Jason was talking about his dad. But it was equally exciting to see the joy on Jason's face as Pastor Ken was talking about him. So that as a guy who loves his father and who knows that his father loves him, being able to know that you guys are able to work together and are going to be making an investment in the Colony, Texas is pretty spectacular and awesome. And I want you guys to know I'm praying for you. I'm supporting you. My family and I are behind you guys 100% and are excited about what you're doing. Calvary is behind you 100%. And we are excited about what God is doing in you guys and through you guys, and the impact that it's going to have on the Dallas-Fort Worth area in this area of the Colony, Texas, but in these little neighborhoods and these little nooks where all of a sudden the light of the gospel of Jesus Christ is going to start springing up, and what's going to happen in that community because of what God is doing through you guys. So I am excited. I am incredibly blessed to know you and to know what God is doing, and to be able to call you friends. And so I am excited about what God is doing in your life and your family. Church, if you have not had a chance to support Pastor Jason and Pastor Ken and Free City Church, let me encourage you to do so. There are two opportunities on the website on stream here for you to be able to click and kind of make some financial contributions. I want to encourage you to pray. Spend some time today, every day, praying for Pastor Jason, praying for Pastor Kenny, praying for the Colony, Texas, and that God would just prepare the way as they go forward, knowing good and well that this is going to cause the spiritual world to kind of go into combat mode. But we also know that God is a sovereign God who's in control. God has prepared the way. God provide provisions. And so we are super, super excited. I would love the opportunity, if you guys would mind, to just pray for you and over the Colony, Texas, and over Free City Church before we close our video today.
Please do.
Father, I thank you so much for what you're doing. I thank you for what you are doing in Jason and Pastor Ken's life. I thank you for the call that you have placed on Jason's heart, or a calling that he can't run from, a calling that he is compelled to pursue, a calling that, Lord, just it grinds in his heart and soul to see and to do and to be involved and act. And so, Lord, I thank you for placing that call in his life. I pray that you would allow him to just continue to pursue you, and in 3 years and 5 years and 10 years, as we look at what God has done in the Colony, Texas, through the work of Pastor Jason and Pastor Ken, we will be able to rejoice over the sinners who have returned, repented, and come to know you. Lord, we ask that you would put your hand on the Colony, Texas. I pray that you would begin preparing the hearts and lives of people. I pray that you begin preparing communities and neighborhoods. I pray that you would begin to prepare the way, prepare the path, so that as they walk in your way and as they go in your favor, Lord, that they would find the harvest is ready. And as they go into the harvest, Lord, there will be plenty of fruit to be reaped. Lord, we love you. We thank you. We praise you. Lord, I ask that you would support and that you would allow us to come alongside them in prayer and in finances and to support them in their fundraising. We love you. We trust you. We ask this, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Guys, I appreciate you, and I'm super excited. And if there's anything I can do for you guys along the way, please let me know.
Thank you so much, Alan. Thank you for that prayer.
Thank you, Alan. I appreciate you. And the last thing I want to mention, just for everybody watching, when you go to our website and you look at our logo and color of our logo and the design of that, it is Alan. It is Pastor Alan who designed our logo for us. And so if you need that kind of work done, and he's got a plethora of other kind of work, go see Pastor Alan, hit him up online. I promise you, he'll take great care of you. Alan, tell him the name of your company again.
Media 317 is a little company I run that we do a lot of web and development and branding stuff for churches and small communities and nonprofits. So it's just a passion of ours. So.
Thank you so much for the work that you've done for us, for Free City. I'm very grateful, man. I appreciate it. We love our logo. It's beautiful. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Calvary. Thank you, Calvary, for taking care of Jason and Rhonda and Josiah. We appreciate you nurturing them and loving on them while they've been in Georgia. So
yes, thank you, Calvary. Thank you so much.
All right, brother. Love you guys.
Calvary, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
See you later.
Bye.
All right, I've stopped the stream.
All right.
So you have that as a recording as well.
Yeah, I'm about to stop my recording.